Okay, so last time we were here, we talked about how Satan brought accusations against Abraham because he had seemingly forgotten about Yah after Yah blessed him with the birth of Isaac. And so Satan petitions Yah to test Abraham's faithfulness again, because we saw that Abraham had already had his faithfulness tested and he had passed. He was faithful in everything he did. That's what the word says. Well, that's what Jasher says. And so now Abraham's being put to another test to sacrifice Isaac. So Satan says, I bet you if you test him to present his son as a sacrifice, that he won't do it. And so Yah says, okay, let's see. So now we're in Jasher 23:1. So it says, now the word of the Lord came to Abraham. He said, Abraham, Abraham. Abraham says, here I am. He says, take your son, your only son, whom you love, even Isaac. Go to the land of Moriah. Offer him there for a burnt offering unto the mountains. Okay. This is kind of where we start out in Genesis. We didn't have that backstory before, but now we have the backstory. So now we're caught up. This is where we are. And so in Jasher 23:3, Abraham says within himself, how will I separate my son Isaac from his mother Sarah? Now, mind you, this is a man moving in obedience to an instruction that he received from Yah, right? And the first thing that we have to do when we are called and chosen is we have to separate ourselves from our family, from our current environment. Now, he's already had to do this once back in his homeland where Yah told him, go out to a place that I will show you. That's what he said to Abraham. And so it's similar, right? So now he's given him a call to sacrifice his son. And again, Abraham has to separate himself. So when you get a call, first thing we're going to have to do is separate ourselves. And what he does is he lies to Sarah. So we'll see in 23:5, he says, my son Isaac is grown up. He has not for some time studied the service of his God. Now tomorrow I will go and bring him to Shem. Shem is Noah's son, and Eber, his son. And there he will learn the ways of God, for they will teach him how to know the Lord, as well as to know when he prays continually before the Lord, he will answer him. Therefore, he will know the way of serving the Lord his God, right? So Abraham makes up like, I can't tell her that God told me to sacrifice him. So he's like, look, well, I'm taking him to go study under Shem and Eber. Now, sometimes when we receive an instruction, it is not for anyone to know. He knew that she would try to talk him out of it if she knew the truth. Sometimes you cannot tell big dreams. Now, he didn't have a dream, but this is parallel to when we have a call in our life, okay? Sometimes you cannot tell big dreams to small-minded people. We can't always tell people exactly what we are setting out to do. And Abraham knew this, and he knew his wife. He knew, he can't do that, right? So Sarah replies, you have spoken well. Okay, so supportive answer, right? Go, my Lord, and do unto him as you have said. She says, but remove him not a great distance from me, neither let him remain too long. So she said, don't go too far and don't stay too long. So she was supportive, but she had some conditions, right? It was about her, and we'll see more of that later. But she wasn't really focused on what was best for Isaac. If I knew that my son was going to go and study under Shem, the son of Noah, the Noah and the flood Noah, and Shem and his son Eber were going to take on my son and teach him the ways of Yah, I would be like, yes, oh my gosh, they're really going to do that? Like, I would be on Isaac, like, listen, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Like, you're going to learn so much. Like, you remember Shem is Noah's son. You know the story of Noah, right? But she says, don't go too far, don't stay as long. Like, no, stay as long as you need to. This is Shem and Eber. Like, get yours. Like, I'll come visit you, right? But no, she responds out of again, she was barren for basically most of her life. So this is her son. And there's a soul tie, I'll say, and we'll see that too. At the end of this verse 6, she says, for my soul is bound within his soul, right? And then again, if you look at 23:9, she said to him, oh, my son, how can my soul separate itself from you? So there's an unhealthy soul tie attachment at play here. And she's more concerned about how this is going to affect her. And that happens when we receive a word, we operate in our calling, and we finally set to venture out, and we have to separate ourselves. There's going to be the people closest to you, who you need their support. Some of them are going to act out of a sense of, man, what about me? Those are responses, reactions that we're going to get from people closest to us. So there was an unhealthy, inordinate affection that she had for Isaac. Unlike Hannah. Now, Hannah, we remember, Hannah was barren, and she went down to the temple praying for a son, and Yah gave her a son, and she said, Yah, if you give me a son, I'll dedicate him back to you. And her son happened to be Samuel, and she did just that. After he was weaned, the word says that she took Samuel down to the temple to be raised under the priest. And so that is like in direct opposition of how Sarah is now handling her son Isaac. One worshiped the blessing, and one worshiped the blessor. Okay, so Sarah automatically thought about herself in the situation. To think about when you venture out to answer the call of God, people will have a what about me attitude instead of wholeheartedly supporting you in your endeavors. So then we'll see, and again, we're talking about this, he received the instruction. Now he's trying to separate, okay? And we're looking at the obstacles. So part 1 was the testing. We learned that Satan brought accusations against him, and then he's being tested because of his faithfulness, because Yah advocated for him and said, no, Abraham is faithful. He has been faithful in everything I put him to, everything I tested him in, he's been faithful. And so he says, all right, Satan, watch this. Go ahead, let's see if he'll sacrifice his son. So Yah gives Abraham the word. Abraham is now being obedient. He's acting in obedience to this word, and he's setting out, and the first thing he has to do is separate from his environment, and that's what we're seeing now. His environment is Sarah. Basically, he's just trying to separate from Sarah. Everybody else is pretty much cool with it, right? So now we're going to see what else Sarah did. And so the next thing she does, that now she's going to give Abraham instructions. So she's going to try to tell him what to do and how to do it, okay? So let's look at 23 and 9 through 12. And it says, and Sarah said to Abraham, O my Lord, I pray you, take heed of your son, and place your eyes over him, for I have no other son nor daughter but him. Oh, forsake him not, right? If he be hungry, give him bread. If he be thirsty, give him water. Like, what? He not going to feed his son? Like, what is she saying? Do not let him go on foot. Now he can't walk. Neither let him in the sun. Now he can't be in the sun. Neither force him from whatever he may desire, but do unto him as he may say to you. Now, she's not saying, this is something a mother would say to a kid, like, listen to your father, like, do unto your father whatever he says to you. But she's saying to Abraham, the father, do unto Isaac whatever he may say to you. I mean, talk about inordinate affection, talk about a soul tie. This is not good. This is out of order. Abraham's house is not in order right now. One of the things people are going to want to do is try to tell you what to do, how to do it. Be careful, or, make sure you this, make sure you that. And it's out of good intentions. They're really wanting to look out for you and have your best interests. And unfortunately, a lot of times people will project their fears onto you because they can't see what you see. And so that they don't have the optimism that you have, the faith that you have for what you're setting out to do. So a lot of times they'll respond out of fear, worry, anxiety, pessimism. And so you just have to understand that they don't have the vision. You have the vision. So just let them say their 2 cents and just kind of, all right, respect. Like, I appreciate it. So then lastly, what we're going to see is that she made a scene. So they're finally at a point of separation. So, all right, imagine you had this call on your life, or you got this opportunity, you're going to do this thing, and, you're working up to it. So you've had time where people have been able to give you their 2 cents, and they've been able to say whatever, or react or respond. But now is the point of separation. Now, this is the morning of your flight. This is whatever, like you're starting the program today, whatever it may be. And so we're at the point of separation now. And what Sarah does is, I have here that she made a scene, okay? So let's see what she does. So 23 and 16. So Sarah went out with them. So again, they've started on their journey. Sarah went out with them, and she accompanied them upon the road to see them off. And they said to her, return to the tent. Oh, they told this lady, go back home. Oh my gosh. When Sarah heard the words of her son Isaac, she wept bitterly. So Isaac told her, go back home. And Abraham, her husband, wept with her, and their son wept with them a great weeping. And also those who went with them wept greatly. So she caused a great weeping. Not only that, she made it about her. And Sarah caught hold of her son Isaac, and she held him in her arms, and she embraced him and continued to weep with him. And Sarah said, who knows if after this day I will ever see you again? Again, it's about her. It's all about her. And they still wept together. Abraham, Sarah, and Isaac, and all those who accompanied them on the road wept with them. And Sarah afterward turned away from her son, weeping bitterly. And all her men servants and maid servants returned with her to the tent. And finish it off here. And Abraham went with Isaac his son to bring him up as an offering before the Lord, as he had commanded him. Okay, so that's where we're going to leave off today. This is the first obstacle, and it is separating. So again, Abraham received the word from God to sacrifice his only son, Isaac, as a burnt offering unto the Most High. And Abraham has said yes, but now he has to go through the process. He has to walk it out. So he's acting in obedience, but he has to separate from his environment, from his wife. And now we've seen that how he has separated. He had to lie. He couldn't tell her all the details. So sometimes we have to move in obedience without telling even those closest to us exactly what we're up to. Because sometimes the closest people, again, they're going to try to tell you what to do, how you should do it, or why you shouldn't do it. Sometimes they're going to try to talk you out of it. And sometimes they're just going to make it about them instead of putting their faith with your faith and praying for you and wishing you well. Some people just act out of their own self-interest and kind of say, well, what about me? They kind of get in that. And so it doesn't say anywhere where she said she was proud that her son was going to go study under the great Shem. I mean, this is Noah's son, Shem, like the Noah, the Shem. This, like, yes, son, go. Stay as long as you need to. Go. Yes, this is great for you. It doesn't say that she asked Abraham how she could best support him, what they need from her to be successful. So Abraham knew who he was dealing with. He knew who he was dealing with. And even though that was not the case, he told her something very positive. He still knew that she was going to give him a hard time, but that was the best he could tell her. Like, it don't matter what he would have told her they were going to do. She was going to give him a hard time. And so it's safe to say that Sarah's faith in the Most High was just not there. She's operated solely out of her flesh. So this is just the first step in their journey. They finally separated. Again, he's being obedient to the call on his life. So the next part, we're going to take a look at the obstacles in his path once he finally sets out and once he is separated. So, and that the next part is going to be who you take with you. That's going to be a good one. Then the same story, we're in the book of Jasher. This is a long story with a lot of parts to it that we don't get in Genesis, and so I'm thankful to have this this context added to it. So, all right, y'all, that's it for today. Y'all be blessed. Peace. I forgot to plug the merch. Okay, we got Angel Time Heroes here. Boom. We got Elion, Mariah, Ascidian, and Seraphina. They are the Angel Time Heroes. We got t-shirts available. We have the ebook available on Barnes & Nobles and Nook. But if you go to angeltimeentertainment.com, you will see links to the ebook. You'll also see links to purchase t-shirts. Get them for the family. We have youth sizes. We have baby sizes down to the little snap tees, all the way to adults. I think we have 3X. So yeah, go support the brand. I love y'all. Again, he will give his angels charge over you, and that's what they do. They look out for our young kings and queens, helping them navigate life into right living and achievement. There we go. All right, y'all. It's been a day. Signing off.